All right, let's get into this. You know, sometimes the biggest ideas, the most profound truths, they aren't hiding in some dense textbook. They're right there, in plain sight, maybe even in the lines of a song. And today, that's exactly what we're doing. We're going to unpack the lyrics of We All Have Choice by Alison McLean, and believe me, it's going to help us explore some of the biggest, trickiest paradoxes of just being human.
So the song kicks off with this incredible thought. I mean, doesn't that just hit you? It captures that feeling we all know, that constant push to be somewhere else, to get the next thing, to finally, arrive. But right away, the lyric drops this massive paradox on us. What if this destination we're all chasing is the exact spot we're standing on right now?
And that leads us straight into our first big idea here, the search. The whole argument in the song is that this constant feeling of being on the way to a better place, well, that might just be the biggest illusion we're all living under. But that begs a really important question, right? If we're supposedly already here, then why on earth do so many of us feel so completely stuck? Well, the song suggests it's because of a few mental traps we lay for ourselves, and that's exactly what we're about to dig into. The chorus basically lays out these three core conflicts that keep us spinning our wheels in that endless search. It's about having a choice we can't even see, wanting a different life but not actually living differently, and looking for a thumbs up from literally everyone but ourselves. So, let's tackle that first one. So here we are with our first paradox, and I like to call it the stillness trap. This is where the song just completely flips our whole idea of stillness on its head. It suggests that the very act of chasing it, of trying to be still, is exactly what keeps it out of reach.
You know, most of us think of stillness as something we have to do. It's an action, like we have to wrestle our thoughts into submission. But the lyric, it's pointing to something way, way deeper. A state so total, so absolute, that even something as automatic as breathing just fades into the background. The big insight here is that real stillness isn't an action you take at all.
And that's the takeaway. The trap is in the trying, the freedom is just in the being. And what's really interesting is that the song suggests the same twisted logic applies when we try to fight for change. In a way, struggling for stillness is just another way of protesting against our own busy minds.
And speaking of protest, that leads us perfectly into the next major paradox from the lyrics, the protest trap. Now, this is a wild idea, that our very effort to fight against something can be the very reason it sticks around. I know, it sounds totally backwards, but let's see how the song breaks it down.
So this here maps out the vicious cycle the song is talking about. When we protest or fight against something, could be a bad habit, could be a huge societal problem, we, without even realizing it, point all of our focus right at it. We're literally dedicating our most valuable resources, our attention and our energy, directly to the thing we want to get rid of.
And this is the core of it all. The lyric absolutely nails it. It's like a law of psychic gravity. By focusing on what we don't want, we end up feeding it, making it stronger, and keeping it locked into our reality. The trap isn't the protest itself, it's the focus it demands. So what's fueling this cycle of protest? What makes us fight so hard against ourselves or our situations? Well, a lot of the time, it's this third and final trap that the chorus shines a light on, this totally misguided hunt for outside validation. Look, we're social creatures. It's totally natural to want to be accepted. But the trap is when we make other people's approval a requirement for our own self-worth or for taking a chance in our own lives. We basically end up outsourcing the permission to be ourselves. And the song just lays the two paths out so clearly. On one hand, you've got the common path, constantly checking over your shoulder, looking for that okay from other people. But on the other side, the song offers this radical idea of self-sovereignty, that the only green light you ever really need is your own.
So we've looked at these three pretty powerful traps, right? The fight for stillness, the paradox of protest, and the endless search for external approval. They all keep us feeling stuck, always looking for that somewhere else to go. So, what's the answer? What's the way out?
And that brings us to the final and honestly the most empowering part of this whole explainer. Because the solution isn't some new strategy or another 10-step plan. The song tells us it's actually a simple, profound realization about a choice that we've had all along. These lines from the final verse, these are the keys that unlock all those traps we talked about. Think about it. If there's nothing to hold on to or let go of, that whole struggle for stillness just dissolves. If there's no absolute right or wrong, just the meaning we decide to give things, then the need for someone else's approval becomes totally irrelevant. This isn't about not caring, it's about recognizing our own power to create our own meaning. So this is it. This is the whole point. The choice this song is about isn't about picking between option A or option B. It's this profound realization right here. You are not broken, and there's nothing to fix. It's about tapping into the power you already have inside you to define your own reality, instead of constantly trying to solve yourself like you're some kind of problem.
And this brings us right back to the beginning, full circle. We can finally understand this line in its full depth. The choice was there the whole time. The power to stop searching, to stop fighting, to stop seeking. The only problem is, as the lyric says, most of us just don't know it.
So in the end, this entire lyrical journey leads us to this one final, very personal question. If you really accept the idea that you're already where you need to be, that you're not broken, then that you hold the power to define your own experience, what happens next? What will you choose?